The next story. Next story is about Johnson and Johnson. If you think the last two videos were deep, I'm going even deeper this time. But Johnson and Johnson, and first I want to say props to Reuters for this investigation, because you can't just hate on people when they do bad work. I love to share CNN and Reuters when they actually do good work. You got to incentivize people to do good things. And Reuters, I think they pretend to be like middle of the road, and I really don't think they are. But they did a good report and found out that Johnson and Johnson is, report showed that their powder sometimes was tainted with carcinogenic asbestos. They went through a story of someone named Darlene Coker who had cancer and mesothelioma, I believe, and was trying to figure out why. And according to this report, it seemed like it came from Johnson and Johnson. What's really bad about this? And they're already, before this report came out, they've already been under fire, facing thousands of lawsuits alleging that it caused cancer. It's really bad stuff, because baby powder, look at the name of it, baby powder. People have been putting this on their babies for decades. I mean, I found out today, I didn't have any idea, close your ears if you don't hear this, but a bunch of guys were like, I put that on my private area. I was like, I didn't even know guys did that, to be honest, but I found that out. Some of my friends were like, I put that on every day. I was like, well, better stop doing it, because Johnson & Johnson, there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on, from cancer to asbestos to mesothelioma, which it causes. I mean, it's really bad. And I wish I was surprised by this. I wish I could act surprised, but I'm not. I don't know how to really say this to people. I'll try to figure it out without being too crazy sounding. They've been doing really screwed up stuff for a while. First of all, this was passed by the Food and Drug Administration, I guess, right? It was on the shelves everywhere for decades, and they had commercials telling everyone, put this on your babies, put it on your private area, put it all on your body, it's great. How did this get passed? First of all, the question I always ask is, why is there not two separate organizations for the Food and Drug Organization? I get it. If you eat certain foods, they can heal you like drugs. I get that, but it just seems a little weird that they mesh food and drugs together in the first place, and I've never really trusted them. I don't know if it was them or one of the other official reporters or whoever they are, the government-sanctioned agencies. They said that coconut oil's bad, so yeah, coconut oil must be so terrible. So you couldn't figure out that there was asbestos possibly in Johnson & Johnson products for 3 decades, but yeah, coconut oil is really bad because it messes with the other competition. And you can do your own science studies on that. It's just like, how can we trust these organizations? How can we trust these organizations that told us that the food pyramid was good? Eat like 6 servings of bread every day. It's like, you can eat bread. I don't think it's going to kill you or anything. But to be honest, all the research I've done is bread is not that good. I still eat it. I'm human and whatever. But I try to cut bread out of my diet, and a lot of people have success with that, because I don't think that eating a lot of bread is good. But they told us to eat it 6 times a day and drink a bunch of milk, and it's like, what the heck was the food pyramid? And then you find out, who was incentivized, and you could do your own research and figure out what you believe, but why did they say that? Was it because it was truly good, or were they financially incentivized to tell people that? Be very careful what products you use, especially from the big companies. There's been a lot of lying, a lot of manipulation over the last couple decades, and I think it's all going to be aired out soon. So, watch what you put on your skin and the products that we use. I just want to say, before I move on to the next story, is Bayer. I did a whole article, or I did a whole video one time on Bayer and Monsanto. These are 2 companies with a very nefarious past. I mean, Bayer had I believe it was called Zyklon B, that they used to murder a bunch of people during Nazi Germany, and they were heavily Nazi-linked company. If you do a search of what products that Bayer owns, they own, I believe, copper tone sunscreen. Don't quote me on it, but look it up yourself. Like, it's not just medicine that they own. Bayer owns a lot of stuff. So you're talking about a Nazi company, or a Nazi-linked company that was used to kill people. Just dropped all that. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure they got better. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. Like, yeah, maybe that their products are great now, and they just forgot about that past and came to America. But then Bayer merged with Monsanto. Monsanto is already under fire by a lot of activists for glyphosate. cancer-causing stuff that they spray on everything. People think it causes cancer. Some reports say it doesn't. Some reports say it does. I'm not a scientist. I'm not the Food and Drug Administration. You can figure out what you believe about Monsanto, but Monsanto also has a past of, I believe, helping to make Agent Orange, and they were even involved in the Manhattan Project, I believe, to create the first nuclear bomb. So it's like you have these companies merging to create a multi-billion-dollar company that owns all the seeds. Maybe not all of them, but a big majority or a big portion of them. Monsanto and Bayer, Nazi Germany company, Agent Orange company, merging to create a multi-billion-dollar company to own all the food and a huge portion of the pharmacy industry and much more. Look at all the stuff that they do. I don't know. I say this stuff and people think I'm crazy, but first I wanna get on a positive note. I believe your mindset and your energy, like your thoughts and your actions, determine a lot more than even what you intake. Like I personally, you can call it conspiratorial or superstition, but I believe you can, it's also scientifically backed, but whatever. I'm just trying to, cover all my grounds. I think we control our destiny, and even if you're exposed to a lot of these projects, I don't think necessarily you're going to get cancer. I do personally believe, and you could disbelieve it, I believe I could power through anything. And I'm like, why do you stay there? Why do you do this? What happens to that? I don't even let that thought, I don't even say certain words. Like a word I said today, I don't even let into my mouth. I don't even let into my mind or my life, because I don't even want to manifest that, no matter, even if I'm in a room full of asbestos. So you know what I'm saying? Which I'm not, but actually I probably have been. I don't like to, I think I could power through it with my mind, with my soul. I understand that the world is a very nefarious place, and there's a lot of bad things, but I think we can control it personally through our mindset, and that's even scientifically backed. Stress is a huge causer of disease and sickness, so there is science to back that as well. But, stay strong, stay positive. But I think we're in for a rude awakening. Before I move on, I say this all the time. People have a weird reason that they don't believe this, but during the Nazi era, Operation Paperclip, 1,600 Nazis left Nazi Germany, from scientists to rocket engineers to high-level leaders in the Nazi regime, came into the United States, not to live as refugees, not to live and work in the private sector, came to the United States and worked directly in the federal government. Sorry, someone called in. So 1,600 Nazis left, high-level people, work directly in the federal government. The best answer I can get from people who don't believe me is say, oh no, they were just really talented, and we wanted to use them to our advantage because they were good people that had nothing to do with Hitler. Okay, so let's take that logic and let's translate it to ISIS or to China, or to, not that China and ISIS are the same, but think of any other regime on the world now. Russia. Imagine if we defeated them and took 1,600 ISIS members, or 1,600 and put them directly into the federal government, into high-level positions. To people, they say, oh, that sounds totally normal to me. There's nothing weird there. To me, it sounds like the Nazis took over our federal government. I'm sorry if people don't want to hear that, but I don't know. There's no way that you could twist that to make me think that 1,600 people from an evil regime, according to history, came into our government in high-level positions, and that's just totally, completely normal. If 2 ISIS members worked in federal government, people would be freaking out. But somehow 1,600 did that. Nobody blinked an eye. From, all these German companies, from Bayer to other ones, they just continued operating like nothing happened. And you could even find presidents and leaders that were linked to the banks and to these companies that helped fund the whole Nazi regime. I mean, you could do your history, although I'm sure Google's going to censor it out so you can never find it. Anyway, I think we're in for a rude awakening. I don't know. It's to me, none of that sounds normal. I don't think it's by chance that all of these products have asbestos and cancer stuff in them. We didn't know for decades it had asbestos. I don't know. I'm not buying it. I think there's a lot of really bad stuff. I'm not tripping about it, but it's I think the truth is a lot stranger than fiction, and a lot of people are not going to be able to handle what these companies were doing, who these people are, who we were being led by, and I don't know that I believe that they did it by mistake. Maybe they did, maybe they got better, they came and they're very pure, but it's not that hard when you have people marching in the streets to take away their own freedom. People are like, yeah, let's take away guns. You're like, that's what you're marching for? You have Nazis in the U.S. government, like literally 1,600 of them. You have Bayer and Monsanto merging. You have Johnson and Johnson telling people to put cancerous and asbestos-ridden stuff on babies for 3 decades, and you're marching in the streets to take away your own freedom? I mean, I stay calm because I just don't. My expectations are very low with the mind capacity of a lot of people. But that's the story, and that's just a side note of other, very skeptical things going on. Johnson and Johnson, Reuters report. Congratulations to Reuters. Actually, real quick before I move on, and I mean it this time. CNN had an article, and this is just the deception and manipulation of the internet. Like, people don't understand how deceptive these news organizations are. So CNN did an article about this Johnson and Johnson stuff, and the headline was basically the Reuters headline. It said Johnson and Johnson had asbestos in their baby powder. So I saw this article, and this is the headline. I shared the CNN article before I shared the Reuters article to my page. When I shared it, I call this headline changing articles. When it's not an anti-Trump article, all the anti-Trump articles, you post it, it's the same headline, same thumbnail. Somehow they make it so I posted that one, the Johnson and Johnson one, to my page, and all of a sudden the headline and the picture changed. So when I posted it, instead of like the very obvious headline of like Johnson and Johnson uses asbestos according to Reuters report, the headline changed to Johnson and Johnson stocks are down. What? Yeah, because no one's going to share that. That's not a big scoop. Johnson and Johnson stocks are down. They had a bad day. Cool. Like, yeah, their stocks are down. But that's what they do. Anytime it's a pro-Trump headline, they actually make it so when you share the CNN article, it makes it less shareable and less powerful. They change the thumbnail and they change the headline to take away the scoop because they understand that most people are going to see only the headline. So they're covering for Johnson and Johnson. The headline is obviously Reuters report, says that there's asbestos in Johnson and Johnson products. That's their own headline, but they literally change it when you post it. And I've seen them do this dozens of times, but only when it's pro-Trump or telling you that there's asbestos in Johnson and Johnson products. It's insane how much these people manipulate the news. It's like they don't want you to know the truth, and they go to every single threshold to hide the truth from you and make the truth less shareable and less knowable. They change their own headlines and their own thumbnails whenever it's pro-Trump or it's warning you about asbestos. It's like when Trump says they're the enemy of the people, it's hard to not disagree. It's like the lengths that they go to start wars and hide the truth that can save your life is pretty enormous.